All right, what's up, team? This is Ruben from TGE, and in today's video, I want to talk about the ORB strategy. I made a video previously about the ORB strategy and how it's a bad strategy for entries, and I still believe it's a bad strategy for entries, mostly because you're missing a lot of information. And a lot of ORB strategy traders that I know of or that I've seen on the internet, they believe in price action only and that you should keep it as simple as possible. But the truth is, you're missing a lot of information in the strategy. And most of the time, when it doesn't work, you just you blame the execution or the strategy or yourself. But the truth is, like, you're just missing information. You don't know, like, what hedging mechanism pressures are lying underneath the asset, and it just flips on you, right? And so you end up getting stopped out, or you're holding the bag, or whatever the case is. So in this video, I want to talk about what you're missing, right? What you're missing in your charts, and how you can use Gextron to figure that out. And then that way you can have better entries and better exit plans as well too. Okay, so let's start with the article here. I said why most ORB breakouts fail and how Gextron gives you the real edge. Okay, so I've seen a lot of traders rely on the opening range breakout ORB strategy, thinking it gives them an edge. You see it all over YouTube. At least I have. I've used it myself, and I have. It was cool because it was simple, and simple can play to our brains, to our simple part of the brain. And we want simple, right? Least amount of effort for the most amount of reward. And it doesn't work like that when this industry or this whole thing is built off of billions of dollars of institutional funds. It's more complicated than that, right? So I've marked the first 15-minute high and low. I've waited for the breakout, and I've chased green candles. See, that's the worst, because when you chase and then that's the top and it reverses, my goodness, that irks me, right? That would irk any trader, right? But after years of trading and testing hundreds of open setups, here's the truth. The ORB alone won't make you consistent. And in this post, I'm going to show you why it's not enough, what most traders are missing, and how you can use Gextron to trade the opening range the right way every single day. Okay, and FYI, the whole point of this article is to promote Gextron. So if you're not interested in that, I guess you can sign off. But so let's continue. Everyone sees the same breakout, and let's be real. Almost every trader is watching the same thing. The 5-minute ORB levels, right? Because the first 15 minutes, the gap and go patterns, the retest entries at breakout zones, and the candle closes above the range. And I get it, okay? These patterns are visually clean and they feel like a system. But here's the problem. Everyone's watching the same play, right? If everyone is watching the same play, everyone should be rich. But it doesn't work out that way. It never does. And if everyone got the same play because it was so easy, technically all the profitability would have dried up. There would be none to spread around because everybody's trading the same thing, right? Everyone's watching the same play, and that means breakouts often get faked, front ran, or absorbed by liquidity providers. Why? Because the breakout isn't real unless it's backed by real flows. Okay? So the ORB isn't a signal, it's a test. The open is when volatility is high, right? It's the highest amount. The definitely the beginning of the day in New York time session, you're gonna have the biggest amount of volume and liquidity in the market. And so the spreads are very wide, and then dealers are adjusting, and institutions are repositioning, okay? So as institutions are repositioning, dealers are rehedging, and that's going to cause a lot of volatility in the market, okay? The ORB is not a go signal, it's a test. Is this level accepted or rejected? Is this follow through or fade? Are market makers offloading risk or defending it? Okay, you can't answer any of those questions by just watching the candle. You need context, and Gextron gives that to you. Not all breakouts are created equal, all right? You get candles that close above the ORB high, great, but then you got to ask yourself, and these are things that you really have to take into consideration if you're doing the ORB strategy as your entry point. You got to ask yourself, is it close to a gamma wall? Okay, is it running into a Vanna hedge zone? Did dark pools print just cluster before the breakout, right? Are dark pools coming in? What about the option flow tape? These are all things you got to take into consideration. Is the IV expanding or compressing? Okay, IV can make the underlying price move very, very high, and if it compresses, it reduces, right? And that's called IV crush. If you don't know, you're flying blind. That clean breakout might be a liquidity trap engineered to bait retail flow. And when it reverses hard, you'll blame the execution, but it wasn't your entry, it was your information. So, like I said, you're just missing information. Most traders are just missing information. They just don't understand the core mechanics or the ground mechanics of how markets move. Okay, there's how do market makers behave? How do institutions create orders? All these things, like they all play a big role. What does the options do? Like how does option affect delta, and how does delta affect market makers? And what does when delta is going against them and they're overexposed on delta? How do they hedge? Do they buy the asset? Do they not? Do they sell? What do they do? So these are a lot of things that you're missing, right? And you think that this orb breakout, this first 15 minutes is going to save your entries, and it's not. Okay. So what the orb doesn't show you, here's what the chart doesn't tell you, right? Who's on the other side of the breakout, where the dealers are long or short gamma, if institutions are exiting or entering size, if volatility is about to explode or collapse, right? Because it's just a chart. You can't see that stuff out of a chart. You got to get this from the market. Like you got to get it from Opera, right? You got to get it from the NASDAQ Basic. You got to get all this information to be able to see if those flows are supporting your thesis of the breakout, right? And if it's not, you may be in big trouble. That's exactly why most orb traders fail, right? The structure is there, the setups look good, but the market pressure underneath is telling a different story, okay? And I think most traders are saying, well, just look at higher time frames. It doesn't work that way. Price action is random. It will always be random. And you can make better decisions if you look at forward-looking metrics. Look at the option flow, look at the tape, look at the option premiums, look at implied volatility, right? These are forward-looking things, and then you could use time and sales to figure out if it's supporting your thesis. The closest thing to an indicator that I like here is the volume indicator, and that's the only indicator that I use. Actually, I use VWAP as well too. I use a VWAP. I like VWAP and I like volume indicator at the most. I don't use any other ones. I used to use them, but I don't use them anymore because they don't work. Okay, so how do you trade the ORB strategy with Gextron? Okay, so I'm going to show you Gextron, okay? And we'll go over this. So you can see here, I got the tape here. So this is Gextron right here, right? Really, really simple. Very, very easy to understand. Let's go over this. Like, how do you trade the ORB strategy with Gextron? Here's how you can do it, right? You open Gextron before the bell, or at least the first 15 minutes. Just look at the first 15 minutes. Get a map of the dealer zone's expected move, gamma clusters, and like at least before 9. I said 9:30, but you could do at least before 9:45. Just get it early in the day. This does update throughout the day, but early morning data is the best, in my opinion, because then theta and IV is going to get skewed the data, so your probabilities get skewed. Okay, so like you go to Gextron. Let's say you're looking at SPY, and then you just look at like the tall bars. It's that simple, right? You just look at the tall bars. You're like, okay, this is a level of support, a level of resistance here at 595, big level of resistance here at 600, level of support at 588, level of support at 585, and so on, right? And so you mark those levels on your chart, okay? Let's look at Exceladra, right? You mark the levels here, right? Let's say 600, 600, 600, 595. Whoops. Okay, let's say the orb range is right here. We'll use a different color here. we'll use this, right? Here's the candlestick, and here's your high, right? Okay, so here's how you would trade it, right? Okay, let's see the next step. Watch the opening range print. Instead of rushing it, wait to see if price interacts with a real pressure zone. Look for alignment. Is there a bullish flow behind the breakout? Are we breaking out a gamma compression zone? Is the tape confirming? Then strike, right? Based on everything, then you can have confidence in the trade that you're getting into. So for example here, let's just say that this is the 15-minute, right? And price action is we'll use it. we got more colors. Okay, we'll use this. So we'll say like, okay, price action is actually, we'll just use this. Let's say it's going for the upside. Okay, but you now have these key levels that you got from Gextron, right? That's based on the option premium. And it's telling you, hey, based on the option premium, based on just gamma exposures alone, there is a big level of resistance here at 595. Okay, if you know that, and you're like, all you got to do is just wait to see if price can get above 595. And if it does, this checks out and this checks out, and then you can take it for 600 because that's the next area of interest. Inside TGE, all we do is just trade level to level. That's it. Whether it's from here to here, it's like a ping pong, whatever, right? Once if this holds, we take it to the next level, and we don't even hit the next area. We just sell somewhere around here. We sell into strength. Then we watch what happens. If price gets weak, it stalls out, and then we look at also the unusual options to see what's going on. We'll take a look at the option tape. These are real orders coming in. I'll show you what real option orders look like here, okay? I have filters, but I'll remove these filters here. Let's see what happens. Okay, this is real option tape. And you're going to see orders here at $1. This is real option flow, right? And so Gextron, we can filter this out with what we want. Lots of 0 DTEs coming in. Okay, right? And we see like, okay, we're seeing a lot of red in the tape. We can maybe short it back to 595. And we'll sell around here, right? We sell into strength. And that's it. That's all we do. That's all we do, right? Now with your orb strategy, all you have to do is just wait like, okay, we're around the zone. Maybe we wait until it gets above 595 and then you take action. Now, let's say the next zone, the next key level is not 595. It's like 588, right? 588. Okay. You have a decent risk to reward ratio. I don't know how you're going to structure your stop loss or your risk management, but if this breaks out, then you know that you can aim for at least 588 near that level. Okay? So that's how you can use the orb strategy. Just figure out, is the risk to reward worth it until we see the next level, the next area of interest. If it's not, then maybe wait. Or maybe don't trade, right? Save yourself the money. Okay. And that's it, right? That's pretty much it. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? And before I'm taking trades, you take a look at the tape. This is what real tape looks like. It looks crazy. Okay, I need to filter this out. This is going to give me a seizure. 10,000. What's that greater than 10,000? I like to look at less than 45 days just to see what short-term stuff is happening. Okay. And then the expected move. Always look at the expected move, right? For example, right now, SPY, this got taken at 592. We open up the calendar here. We'll say, oh, we have an expected move. This column on the far right, it says we have $2 of expected move, $4 for tomorrow, $6 for Friday. And we mark these levels because then now we have realistic price targets, right? Let's just say, for example, that we're gonna grab this and this, delete this. Let's say that it's breaking out to the upside, right? Okay, let's say it's breaking out to the upside, and the expected move is right here. It's like 598, right? For this week, for today. Let's just say, for example, today. You're trading this today. And okay, all you have to do is just wait if it gets above 595. And if it does, you know that the expected move is the expected move, the top for today, right? You don't have to aim for 600. You know the ideal area to aim for, because Gextron told you, based on the implied volatility in the current theta that we're in, it has about $2 move extra in it. Okay? That way you're not trading blindly. Now you have great entries. You know where the next exits are, and then the stop losses are up to you, depending on how you want to define those. Okay? Super, super simple. That is how you can use this kind of information with the orb strategy and make it really simple for yourself, right? So this way you're not blind. You're not like, oh, I took the trade for the entry, but then it's getting reversed, right? Because it's very possible that, let's say it wants to break to the upside here on the orb, but then it rejects because there's a 595 zone. And then you're screwed, right? You get stopped out, or you're holding the bag, I don't know. And hopefully you didn't oversize either. All right, so that's that. All right, so what to do if you're still trading the orb naked? I'm not saying that the orb, again, I'm not saying that it's useless, but if that's all you're using, you're entering a war zone without knowing who's shooting. Here's what you can start doing today, right? Add option pressure zones, use volume. We like to use volume a lot to give price action context. Use the option flow data just like I showed you here, right? You could take a look at the unusual option orders to see what, at those levels, what kind of orders are being placed. Are they bearish? Are they bullish? What are they? Okay. And then track how implied volatility behaves at orb levels. So that goes back to just using the expected move here. Use the expected move to figure out ideal targets. All right. Or you can let Gextron handle it all for you. It really does it. It makes your job really, really simple. Let me show you something here. Let's take a look at. Let me see where we are here. I mean, these are all trades, right? Gextron is a monster. These are all trades happening inside the TG community, right? These are all trades that we're taking. We caught SPX trade all with Gextron. We caught 2 trades. One trade was at 90%, and then we took a QQQ put at 144%. This was all yesterday, which was Tuesday. So these are all real wins just using Gextron. Gextron seriously makes your job easy. You don't even got to think about it. The best daily levels that you'll ever receive. So again, with Gextron, you don't have to guess, right? It's all based on math and the option premium. Grabs all the option premium that's available for that security, calculates it for you, and you don't even got to do anything. You just got to look at the tall bars and the expected move. And then you can look at the option flow to see if it lines up. You see exactly where market makers are positioned. You get alerts when ORB breakouts are backed by real flow. And then you know which levels are fake, right? And which are primed to move based on option data. So no more getting faked out at the open. No more wondering why the textbook said a fail. Just clean data, clear pressure, and confidence behind every trade. So again, the ORB is a great framework if you know what's happening behind the scenes. But if you're only trading candles and structure, then you're just hoping for that the breakout works, and hope is not a strategy, right? And so that's the video for today. Okay, I'm not a fan of the orb strategy, and I know some folks are, and it works for people. But I think if you add at least this kind of information to your strategy, you will have a greater success of coming out profitable month over month, year over year. All right. If you have any questions, put them in the description box down below. Or if you want to try out Gextron, Gextron is a 7-day free trial. Okay. 7-day free trial. And I'll hop on the call with you and show you how to integrate Gextron with your orb strategy. I'll put a couple links in the description box if you want to check them out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.